Welcome to Women Insurepreneurs, the podcast empowering female insurance agents to thrive in the industry. Join us as we dive into the world of insurance entrepreneurship, share success stories, and provide invaluable insights through the lens of female entrepreneurship. Let's unleash the power of women in insurance together.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us on another episode of Women Insurepreneurs. Now, most of you are wondering who are we, right? How did we get into the insurance business? Where did we come from? My name is Sonia Rodriguez. I have been in the business for a little bit over 2 years. I actually never did insurance before. Unlike Jackie, this was something that was new to me. I've always worked in the logistical field, distribution, transportation. I was actually in the transportation corps in the military, so I'm actually an Army vet. I had an old, about 2 years ago, I had an old college friend reach out to me. He knew that I did pretty good with investments. I did pretty good with money. And, he knew that I was an entrepreneur at heart because I had other businesses. So he reached out to me and said, hey, let me show you an easier way of doing this. And so he introduced me to the life insurance business. But he brought me on to something that's called an MLM, multi-level marketing in the insurance agency. So I decided to jump on board and learn whatever I could about the life insurance business. I think I was doing pretty good simply because I just have that selfless service at heart. That's one of the core values in the Army, right? Selfless service. So that's always been something that's in me. I have a philanthropic heart, and I always want to help people. So what better industry to do that in than in the life insurance business? I learned more and more about the industry. A little bit over a year ago, I decided to leave and actually go the independent route. And I jumped on with the IMO that I'm currently with. Shout out to Impact. And I learned more about ownership of your business. I learned more about understanding not everything's a cookie cutter policy, uh, and the different types of insurance that we have, the different ways we can help people. Final expense policies. I honestly love that my two favorite things are final expense policies, which is it's just a whole life policy that covers your funeral expenses, that helps your family pay for that huge expense, right? And of course, mortgage protection insurance. That's besides, the bank sometimes has you have the bank sometimes makes you get mortgage protection insurance, but that's insuring the bank. That's not insuring you and your family. So I also love helping people get their mortgage protection insurance because getting a home is a dream. Who wants to lose that? And I help set people up to protect their best interest their best interest and their family's best interest. So this was a no-brainer for me, and it's just something that I've enjoyed along the way. Um,
Well, and you mentioned that you started at an MLM, multi-level marketing, what was the deciding factor for you to transition to become an independent?
I think it was just being able to own my book of business, being
Mm,
able to know that these are going to be my lifelong clients, mine,
mhm,
not a company's, mine. It's my responsibility. Having true ownership, and then to be honest with you, being an entrepreneur means being disciplined, holding yourself accountable, and that's something else that I enjoy. I don't. If I wanted to have a boss, I would have stayed in the transportation industry. And I just felt like I had too many bosses on top of me in the MLM.
yeah.
Once again, we'll get into that later.
Mhm,
And this is just a better route for me. I think that, and I'm not knocking different agencies. I just feel that you have to go where you fit. And that just
mhm.
wasn't a good fit for me. This one is a good fit for me. I'm not an agency builder as yourself. I'm a producer. Get into detail into what that means, but I'm more of a producer. I will eventually build an agency, but it's not something that I have to do to be able to be successful being the independent route.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And do you feel that your military background helps you out in this field?
Of course, twicefold actually, because first of all, a lot of people think veteran military, they think integrity, right? So you have to really be that person that's selfless, that really wants to help them and give them what's best for them, not what's best for my pocket. Um,
Hmm.
and on the second part of that is also the discipline. You have to be disciplined, and you have to know that you have to do certain things, and the success of your business falls on you. If you don't have the
That's true.
discipline, you're not going to succeed because that falls on you. Nobody else is going to call you, say, hey, get up, start communicating with people. No, you have to have that discipline. So yeah, I think being a veteran has really helped me in my business. It gives people the comfort, and it gives me the discipline. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it really has.
Do you think that, like you said, that this, because you have that discipline background, that eliminates some fear jumping into the independent entrepreneurial type field?
Yeah, I think so. I've always been, I mean, I've always been that type of person that's like, let's go. And I tell
Mm,
everybody, let's go. I'm very driven, very passionate about what I do. I just feel that if you're not going to do something 100%, why do it? I've always been that motivator, that person that likes to drive people. And I see my cup as half full, not half empty. And if there is an empty cup, I see the opportunity to fill it. I don't see an empty cup. You know what I mean? So it's just something that's like, yeah, let's go. Let's roll the dice. Let's go make some money. Let's go help some
yeah.
people.
Did you get support, do you feel, when you made that decision from family and friends, or were they kind of unsure?
I've You know what? I've been an entrepreneur for a while, and it's one thing that I already know. A lot of people reach out, especially with MLM. You're supposed to reach out to your family and friends, right? You're supposed to make a list, reach out to
That's
your family
correct.
and friends, and what we have to understand as entrepreneurs is in this business or in my other ones that I had, you have to understand that you're known as the cousin or the aunt or the sister. You're not known as a life insurance agent.
Mm-hmm.
You're not known as the web designer. You're not known as a sales person. They don't know what services you can provide or how skilled you are in it because all of a sudden you're doing insurance out of nowhere. So
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you have to understand. A lot of people take that personally. A lot of people get offended because they don't have the support of their family and friends. But I mean, at the end of the day, not everyone's going to see your vision because it's not their vision. So they can't see it. You know what you want. If you're driven, if you're passionate, such as myself, I'm very passionate and I know where I'm going. I know what I want and I could actually see it. I can see it. That's why I'm so passionate. I get so excited to do everything I do every day because I know it's leading me towards there. Kind of like a kid that's going to Disneyland. You already know where you're going. So you don't care if you're sitting in 2 hours of traffic. You're just excited to get there. I think that's the best way of describing it.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And that's so true. Like you said, that people they do get offended, and I think too, like a tip that I would say is put yourself out there, because I had found that when I first transitioned and I was still learning, I wasn't putting myself out there as much, like as far as social media goes, because that's the free advertising, right? And other people were. So
Hmm.
I was like, I'm getting offended that so and so is going and buying from someone else, but they're the ones that are promoting themselves online all the time, and I wasn't. So it's
Hmm.
like, how can I be upset? So put yourself out there, even if you're learning, if even if you're unsure. Just find some facts that you know, and don't be scared. Have that confidence to put yourself out there, because
Yeah.
that is going to help your family and friends, like you said, see that, wow, I may know her as the tia that made these mistakes, but this girl knows what she's talking about,
Hmm.
based on the content
And
that
it's and it's
she's
all
putting
it's
out.
all about reinventing yourself. I mean, becoming an entrepreneur is actually reinventing yourself. You're no longer that other person. You're going to be the more skilled, disciplined person that's in a certain industry. That comes with everything, right? You're not that kid flipping burgers at McDonald's anymore. So you have to, reinvent yourself when it comes to what you want out of life. How you perform every day and what you do every day and how you take on the day has to change for people to actually take you serious. So keep that in mind when it comes to going into this business or any other business. Is you have to not take it personal, um, but take it with a grain of salt. Also, like keep in mind, like certain people are not going to support your vision, but
Mm-hmm.
always remember that it's because they might not have one of their own, or even
Yes,
if they do, it's not at the same caliber as yours.
yes. Yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons. You know, they could be. It sounds so cliche, but there could be some jealousy there, right? So you had the balls and the boldness to go out and do this, and I would never do
Who do you think
that.
you are? Who do
Who
you
do you
think
think
you
you
are?
are?
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna hate on you on it. Um,
Or she thinks she's
that
all that.
yeah, yeah. And surround yourself. I think, lastly, going on picking up where she left off, is surround yourself with the people that are gonna see you as not the person flipping burgers. I'm the new, like she said, you're reinventing yourself. So that may come with a new circle. Um,
Yes, exactly.
yeah, so I'll give you a little bit about my journey. So initially, I was introduced into the life insurance business two ways. Initially, I literally just found the job like on Indeed or maybe it was Monster back then. Who knows? This was a long time ago. And I just needed a job. To be honest, I had a lot going on in my life at that time. I was young. I was in my 20s. And I just came across the job online, applied, got the job. But in the midst of that, I actually spoke to a previous coworker slash friend of mine that he and I sold mortgages together, and he was working for that same company but in a different office. And I was like, oh my god, what a coincidence! I just applied for that job. So that kind of validated the the company and the decision for me, because he was a great friend, a great mentor, and he was very successful. So he kind of helped push me, even though he wasn't involved at all, because he was working for a totally different office, different branch manager. It's not like he would be my upline or anything like that. He just encouraged me to do it. So I took the job. At that time, they had, and by the way, this was a captive agency. So, like she said, we'll dive into that, but pretty much you're just working for one company, selling that one product and anybody that they're affiliated with. It was 3 months. They had a 3 month trial period where they paid you a salary while they helped train you. So, I didn't know anything about life insurance. In my community, it's not, from my experience, right? So I didn't know anything about life insurance in my community. It's not really big. From my experience, it wasn't taught to me or spoken about. So I really didn't know what I was doing. I needed that 3 month trial period. And I told myself, okay, I will take this 3 month salary and test this job out. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, at the very least, I have this 3 month salary, because at the point I needed a job. Um, I was under a newer manager, another younger person, a little bit older than me, but still young guy. He was very nice, but his leadership lacked. I think he was figuring things out. So like the blind leading the blind. So after the 3 month trial period, I started to suck in the business, and I wasn't making any money. So I was like, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out for me. I've got to go. So my branch manager, he liked me and my work ethic. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to switch you because I think that you can make it. I'm going to switch you to a new manager. So he did that. I went under a seasoned manager and everything changed. I'm a fast learner. So he pretty much said, this is what I want you to do. I inherited a book of business. So he was like, you're going to call all of your customers. You're going to review their policies. If there's a chance to ethically replace them, that's how you're going to initially get your business. And then also start asking for referrals. That's kind of was his method at the time, that there wasn't buying leads and stuff like that. So I was like, cool, I'm going to go ahead and try that out. I tried that out. It ended up being great. I got like rookie of the year. I made the trip, the insurance trip that they had. So everything was going good. I ended up staying there for 10 and a half years, and this was based in Illinois. And somewhere towards the tail end of that, I had started to consider becoming an independent, because I felt like I wasn't leveling up to the place where I wanted to be, and I felt like there was a ceiling above me. My manager was great. He and I developed a great friendship and relationship. When you work with 10 and a half years with someone, you get to know them. So he was great. The office was great. Although it was captive, it was kind of more of a laid back feel, because there was a lot of freedom. Every agent ran their agency differently. As long as you were being ethical, only selling their products, you could kind of do what you want. You only have to come to the office at that time like once or twice a week. So it wasn't that, it just felt very stagnant. So I had looked around, but I was very cushioned there. I had a pension, I had a 401k, I had the health insurance, life insurance, disability, the whole nine. So every time I thought about leaving, I would put it back in the back of my head because I'm like, well, I'm gonna like miss out on all this stuff. So so at the start of COVID, I moved from Chicago to Miami. And initially we were working from home because it was COVID, so we weren't working in the field, but that had started to lift. So once I transitioned to Miami, I needed to transfer offices from my old Illinois office. So I transferred. By the way, they put up a fight to let me go, which was very interesting to me because I didn't feel like towards the tail end again, things just kind of there was no like major issue. Like I just mind my business. I'm a good employee, do my job. My clients still complain about me. None of that. But it just felt like there was a little bit of favoritism going on in the office. So I would just go, show up, do what I had to do, and leave. So starting to get like stale, I would say, towards the end. So when I wanted to leave, I asked my manager at the time, I said, transfer me to Miami. I'm moving to Miami. She didn't want to let me go because I was one of her top agents. She put up a fight, and I probably could have even sued her because she started talking bad about me to the new branch manager in Miami. She made it seem like I was a liar, like I wasn't, it was really weird. She was like, she's not moving. And he was like asking me to prove that I was moving. And I'm like, what do you mean? This is so weird. Why would I even have to do this? And the new branch manager, he was really nice. He's like, if I were you, I would even look into suing. He's like, because this is weird. They shouldn't be asking you to like prove and prove your rent and prove where you're going to live. It was just very weird. And I'm like, he's like, you must be a great employee because she doesn't want to let you go. And I'm like, what the heck? So she put up a fight. I had to provide my lease. I had to provide all this information that I really should not have had to provide. She even went as far as to say that, and this was a motivator. She went as far as to say that the rent amount that was listed on my lease, which it was Miami, it was pretty high, that there's no way I could afford that. So I was lying. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to show you. So I put up a fight. I was like, you got the wrong one. And mind you, I never had an issue with this lady. So that showed me right there that like people can fake it to your face and stab you in the back. Because the minute I was not under her leadership and helping her office, she flipped on me. On me. So now I went into this office and I had to prove myself even more because I've got this lady talking all this crap about me. And not necessarily like crap, like bad things, just her just saying that I wasn't moving and that she wanted me to stay in Illinois because it would benefit her. So anyway, get through the hurdle, show them my lease, show them I'm actually going to be moving to Miami. I'm physically here. They even went as far as to tell the like upper management, went as far as to prove that I was leaving, to make him have a lunch with me. They were like, oh, make her have a lunch with him in Miami to prove that she's there because we don't believe that she actually left. And I said, okay. I said, you want to come over for dinner? I said, I will literally host a dinner in my apartment for you. He's like, I'm not going to make you do that. I'm so sorry. So anyway, whatever. We get through that. I transfer to the office. Now I've got like to prove myself because this lady put up such a fight that I was like, I'm a good agent. I'm one of the top, and I wasn't the best in the office. So I'm like, great. Now I'm gonna have to come over here and be like the star agent that I probably can't even do. So, and I did have a slow start actually because I had to leave on my book of business. That's how it is with captive, right? You can't keep those clients. So I was like, great. Now I'm starting over from square one. They were not big on buying leads. I had started to do a little bit of research on it because the book of business that I inherited in Miami was a lot smaller, a totally different clientele. In Illinois, I had a book of business that was quite easy to replace because people had these really old, crappy policies. So ethically and legally, I could replace a lot of those because it was really bad for the client. In Miami, that wasn't the case. A lot of people had pretty decent policies that I would be shady if I tried to replace those. So I was like, okay, how am I going to get business now, right? So I did have a slow start transitioning. And then I got put under an assistant manager. They call them assistant managers in the captive, and at least where I was, not uplines. And that lady was a micromanager. she was just horrible. Like she had meetings on a Monday and she would like ask you these redundant questions. By the way, I had transferred at 10 and a half years. Everybody in that office had been there. I was the baby in the office. The seniority was over 12 years. And she would talk to us as if we were newbies. I found myself starting to be drained because during the meetings, I'm like, great, she's going to ask me what a child writer is, or just these really stupid questions. There was no direction. There was no motivation. There was no her trying to help you grow. So I got to the point where I was starting to resent a lot the business, the decision to leave. So I started doing more research than before. Because initially, remember, I had kind of always had it in the back of my mind. Well, I came across a lot of good resources that in the last few years have really gotten popular, in my opinion, like YouTube and podcasts. There wasn't too much of that back then when I first started. So I started listening to the Life Insurance Academy podcast. Shout out to them. And they had an episode about captive versus independent. And they laid out some steps about the pros and cons and how you should do it and what you should do. So I literally wrote down those steps and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. So prior, I had 2 IMOs. I knew I didn't want to go to MLM. I knew that was never going to be for me. I had been recruited many, many times, and we'll dive more into that. But every single time, yes,
yeah,
all the time. And it wasn't my vibe. Like there was always something about the person or the offer that they were willing to give me. So I steered clear away of that. I knew I wouldn't do that. But I had 2 IMOs that I was considering. Ironically enough, both of those combined and became Impact, which is where we are now. So shout out to them, because I was thinking of going with Roger and Chris, which was Advanced Team Partners, and then Brian Askins. So now we're all one. So I was like, oh my God, it just made it very clear that I made the right decision. But prior to that, I did make a pit stop. I made a pit stop at a place that I found initially online. I think I was just doing research and I found him online, and he had a lot of technology in place that I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like how to incorporate all this technology. Cause in the captive, I was working in the field and I didn't want to do that anymore. And I definitely didn't want to do that in Miami, because I was like, I'm not from here. I'm still learning the areas. I'm not going to just throw myself and start driving around these places. At least in Chicago, I kind of knew where to stay away from and stuff like that. So I wanted to transition fully online. So he had a lot of cool technology in place. So I'm like, cool. One thing he did not have, though, was training. He did not have any hands-on training. But I didn't think I needed that because I had been doing this for so long. And I'm thinking like life insurance is life insurance is life insurance, no matter where you go. So I don't need the training. Well, I found out very quickly that I do. That transitioning from captive to independent is a whole other world. Transitioning from in-person to telesales is a whole nother world. So I left. Ironically enough, he didn't want to let me go either. So he was like, he asked me, why are you leaving? And I said, I'll be honest with you, I need training. I need mentors. I need leaders. And he's like, oh, I was just about to incorporate all of that. And I'll do that. Yeah, too late, too little, too late. He literally made an offer. He's like, I'll help you with that. And, and I was like, no, thank you. I've made my decision already. So he was gracious enough to sign me off. He didn't I've heard stories where they make you wait 6 months, 9 months or whatever before they release your contracts. He did it right away. I made the transition. I actually, right when I was kind of joining at back then it was Advanced Team Partners. I decided to go with Chris and Roger. Spoiler alert, I went with the Advanced Team. And they had a trip in Cabo coming up that they were doing for their agents where you could earn that trip by way of production, because I came in and it was like the trip was coming up 6 months or less. There was no way I was going to earn it because I had just started, but they had an option to buy into the trip. So I bought it. I bought it because I had been following these people for a long time. Before I decided to make the transition, I listened to their podcast for close to a year. I took
Oh
my
wow.
time because I wanted
Mhm.
to make the right decision. And then obviously I joined, I would stay on other Zoom meetings and coachings and things of that nature. So I was like, I really want to meet these people in person. And the trips, the conferences, sidebar, the trips and conferences are so crucial and beneficial for you. I knew that just by getting in the room with these people that I would walk away better. I would walk away more successful with more information, with more connections. So it wasn't necessarily in my plans to purchase a random trip to Cabo, but my husband and I both saw it as an investment into our
Mhm.
future. So I made the trip. I got to meet these individuals in person, and I'm so glad I did. I got to meet my upline, and you know when you meet with people in person and you kind of vibe with them, and they kind of see your heart and your character, the next time you ask for something, they're going to be very open to helping you because they're
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I remember her. I remember meeting her husband. She seemed pretty cool. They're so nice. So and it's different. You can't do that necessarily over Zoom. So I came back from that trip and I was so motivated, guys. They had so many good speakers. I love that this IMO was faith based. So, like, we prayed during the events. They had a pastor come and speak in because for me, that's like, I can't do anything without God. Personally, that's what I believe. So to have a company that backed that up and wouldn't shame me for that was really, really big. It wasn't pushed. It wasn't too in your face, but it was like, hey, we're here. And if you want someone to pray for you or be with you and help you out through this, there's someone on site. So that was awesome. And the rest is history. From there, I decided to become an agency owner. My husband and I, so we created our agency. It's called Generational Wealth Pro. And the reason we did that, the reason it's named that is because by way of being in this industry, I've learned how these products can help people.
Mhm.
I've learned how people can change the course of their lives, right? People who come from poverty and low income can overnight become millionaires. And
Mhm.
it's not necessarily about the money. It's about, I have seen people be able to move out of bad neighborhoods because they had
Yes.
insurance. I have seen kids be able to go to college and fund their dreams of becoming business owners because their grandparents left them something. So I kind of wanted to take that message and spread it and shout it from the rooftops. And then I got a passion of helping agents, helping people leave their 9 to 5s that I know what that feels like to feel like there's a ceiling. I know what it feels like to have a micromanager over you. That lady, I forgot to mention this, but we would fill out goals every year. And I told her one time what I wanted to make, and she laughed hysterically, like if it was a joke. So I know what that feels like to have someone crush your dreams. Um, and even not that long ago, I spoke to the previous manager that I worked with in Illinois, and every time we speak, because I worked there so long and my clients still call me,
Mhm.
and I always refer them back to him. And he comments about the fact that I opened up an agency. He's like, "Hey, what's up, Miss CEO?" He like jokes about it, but it's in a very condescending way. He'll say like, "What is that? You opened up your own company?" Ha ha ha. And I'm like, "Yeah, I did. It's my own agency. It's my own company." I don't know what's so
Yeah.
funny about that. It's like they're waiting for me to fail. They're
Yeah.
waiting for me to fail because they think I made the wrong decision. And he told me that I made the wrong decision, by the way. So anyway, that is my story. And I'm at the end of the day, has it come with challenges and hurdles? Yes, I'm not gonna lie, it's not
Of
easy,
course.
but in my opinion, it's so rewarding. Um, this is the reason that we created this group is to be supportive because yes, I feel like I did not have a lot of support making that decision.
Yeah.
But now we're creating a space where we can meet with like-minded women to provide that to other people.
Absolutely. Jackie, you said that you entered the insurance business simply because you were young and you needed a job. So, what about insurance made you go for that instead of like, receptionist or fast food or whatever? What made you say, okay, insurance, or was it just a help wanted ad?
Well, initially it was I needed a job, and then what made me stay was the ability to make your own income. I was always so after high school rather. At that time, I was dating someone who was selling houses, real estate. So
Okay.
I really quit, and he had gone college for a little bit and then dropped out and got into real estate and started making a ton of money. So I kind of learned early on, like, I'm going to bypass the college thing
Yeah.
and try to get into some sort of entrepreneurial role like him, because I saw the amount of money that he was making and the time freedom. So I did start selling mortgages when I was young. And I did okay. I wasn't the best because I didn't have discipline. You talked about this earlier,
Mm-hmm.
but it was very hard for me to transition knowing that I had all that freedom, even in the mortgages. But so fast forward to answer your question, I always kind of had that entrepreneurial mindset in the back of my mind. I just didn't know how to do it, how I could be successful at doing it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you touched highly on something that a lot of people deal with, especially in the insurance industry. They lack training. They lack proper training. They lack proper leadership or proper mentorship. Because even in this
Mm-hmm.
industry, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm my own boss, but I love that I have great mentors that are doing it and making it work. And you always want to follow the person that you want to be like, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to wear those shoes. I have Kevin and Alyssa that they're just great and they're young. They're way younger than me and they're just so driven, and just the mentorship and the leadership that they grant me is amazing. Roger himself, it's like I love listening to Roger and Chris on the Life Insurance Academy on YouTube. I mean, it's just you need to have someone that you want to mirror, right? And I think that's so important, and I could see why you got so frustrated. So there was even a job that I left after 10 months because it lacked the proper leadership. There was no goals, no leadership, no mentorship. So I mean, I understand why you would walk away from that. That makes total sense,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people deal with the same thing.
Yeah. And you want to work somewhere, and I've learned this, and a lot of people think this way from my experience. You want to work somewhere where you can grow. I had a
Yes.
conversation with a girl that works for us on our team, and she said that she left the job after 6 years because she just felt stagnant. She wasn't growing. And a lot of people want to work somewhere where they can grow.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a girl that works on our team that she left the job after 6 years because she says there was no room for growth there.
Mm-hmm.
And the assistant that works with us, I always try to switch up her tasks because I've had conversations with her, and and I know, especially with appointment setting, I know how hard it can be. And I will sometimes take her a little bit away from that role and throw something else at her. And she's like, I like, doing when you kind of mix things up a little bit and you give me a little bit more of a creative task. And I think
Mm-hmm.
this is what people don't like about traditional 9 to 5s is you just are stuck doing the
Mm-hmm.
same
So
thing
mundane.
every day.
Yes. I just
Yes.
I
And
think
there's
that's
no
why
room for
I never
growth.
worked in an office. I can't just do the whole 9 to 5, clock in, da, 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 okay, clock out. I just can't. I
Yeah.
loved moving around, walking around, doing everything, and it's just, yeah, it's an transition once. I left an actual job once after a year because after a year I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for the management role, right? I'll get a promotion. Turns out
Hmm.
they went based on seniority, and there was 4 people in front of me, so I had to wait for 4 slots to open for those 4 to go in there, and then they would consider me. I said, "There's
Yeah.
no way I'm going to stay here for what, another 6 to 8 years to wait till I
I've,
no matter what field you're in, growth is
yes.
extremely important."
Yes. I heard this not that long ago. I don't remember where, but maybe it was a Life Insurance Academy podcast, but they said, what job can you come in and make more than the person that recruited you or the person that brought you in, your upline, your
Hmm.
manager? And that's so true. Like she's saying, you have to wait years to be considered. And I have worked for those types of jobs in my past
Yes.
before the insurance. I got into the insurance mid 20s, mid to late 20s. So before then, I've worked at those jobs where you're staring at the clock and you cannot wait to leave. Or, like she said, you can't even get up from your desk. I've had jobs that were like, you were in the bathroom for too long. And I'm like, I'm just in here. I'm not using the bathroom. I just need a mental break. I need to get away from this desk. So
Hmm.
I know what that feels like. And that's the reason I transition. That's the reason that I will go through the hurdles of being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And that's the reason I also want to teach other people how to do that. Time freedom. You know, so many moms that want to be able to work from home and create their own schedule and pick up their kids and not feel like they're going to lose their job because they have to call in because their kid is sick. So,
Yeah, totally get it. Well, I mean, I'm glad that we got to introduce ourselves and tell everyone where we come from, who these women entrepreneurs are, right? I think that me and you met by chance. I think everything's by chance, right? We met at a training and we just clicked. And what I love about this is that we both come from different backgrounds, right? And at the end of the day, it was so natural for us, just it was so organic how we clicked. I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but our meeting that we planned so we can talk about this group turned into a 3-hour session. At the end of those 3 hours, not only did we have a group, we had a logo, we had a website, we had a YouTube channel. Like, all right, and I love it because it's going to give other women the opportunity to share their stories like us, right? That come from similar or different backgrounds than us. And, hopefully we can get those people on board, those women on board and grow this community. But I'm excited to go
yes.
on this journey with you, Jackie.
Me too. And I'm excited for you all to join us. Make sure that you check out our meetup page. Again, that's where you're going to have access to attend our events in person and virtual. We just had a espresso empowerment session, and
Yes.
that honestly is probably going to become one of my favorites because we are so busy as entrepreneurs, but sometimes that quick little huddle, right? So that quick
Quick
little
little
being
30
able to
minutes out of the day,
yes, being
refresh your
able to
mind.
connect, being able to
Yeah.
connect and network, but also we're planning on leaving you with a practical tip, right? Because we understand that by jumping on there, you're taking time from your business away. So we want you
Yep.
to leave with something that you can implement immediately. And
Yes.
again, those tips are crucial, guys. People pay hundreds of
Mm-hmm.
thousands of dollars because one little tip can mean
Mm-hmm.
everything for your business.
Yep.
So, and by way of networking and connecting, keep in mind that you may think like, well, why would I want to connect with Sonia if Sonia's my competitor? We're both in the life insurance industry. Well, that's not
Yeah.
the case. Maybe one of us needs to, increase our social media following. Maybe if I connect with her, she helps me be more confident and comfortable to go on IG lives. Maybe I can connect with Sonia and come up with a workshop and we both end
Mm-hmm.
up getting clients from there. You got to think outside the box. When you help others, it's going to come back to you. So check out the meetup. You can also follow us on Instagram at Women Insurepreneurs. Sonia, we're also on Facebook and
Yes, we have
YouTube is,
Facebook, Instagram. So yeah, we have our YouTube and Facebook channel, Instagram. So follow us on there. Reach out. Our meetups, as Jackie said. And it's, you never know what you're going to learn. You never know. It's important to network with like-minded people with like-minded goals. So make sure you guys subscribe, obviously, please, and join us.
yes. See you on the next one.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening to Women Insurepreneurs. We hope you feel inspired and equipped for your journey in the insurance industry. Subscribe for more empowering conversations and connect with us on Instagram at Women Insurepreneurs. Make sure you join our meetup group so you don't miss any of our events. Until next time, keep shining and pursuing your dreams. Remember, your potential knows no bounds.